Guru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Satnam Ji. My name is Rajinder Singh, and welcome to another show of Ik Conscious Living. It's the show where we try and bring inspirational people that are doing something different, but at the same time helping humanity. And today's no exception. Now, you know what we do every week is we get the person to introduce themselves briefly. So, Danny, tell us a bit about yourself. First of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. You know, the weather is so sunny outside. It's not. Yeah, it's raining. So it's really nice to get somebody to come over, beaming, full of life. And yes, please do tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm Danny, and I'm an adventure traveller, author, teacher, and fundraiser. That'll be enough. Oh,
brilliant. Now, I know when most of you think, hey, do you know what? Let's go home. Let's go to the Punjab. Let's go to India. What's the first thing you probably do? You know, you pick up the phone probably. You ring up your travel agent, I'm assuming, you know. How else would you go? So I'm assuming you'd travel by aeroplane, yeah? Danny, you didn't go by aeroplane to India, did you?
I didn't, no.
Okay, what else have we got? How else could we get to India? Car? Sounds a bit crazy. You didn't go by car, did you?
I didn't go by car, no.
No.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Or by train?
No.
But you did go to India?
I did go, yeah.
What else could we do? Motorbike?
No.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
Okay. Have you given up? Okay. Danny, you've been to India. Yeah? How long did it take you to get to India?
It took me 6 months and 2 days.
Okay. Now, we all know what transport's like these days, but... How did you get to India? Go on, tell me.
I went by bicycle.
Okay, now I know what everyone's thinking. Okay, what's the inspiration behind this? I mean, the reason I really I elongated that, Sangaji, is because I've never met anybody who's bicycled to India. It's not the first thing you think of when you get up in the morning. Hey, let me take the bike. Where shall I go? Let's go off to Delhi. You know what I mean? It doesn't come. So, Danny, okay, I do understand there's a more serious side to this as well.
There is.
So please take us through the steps of, you know, how this came about.
Well, I was a junior school teacher in one of the London boroughs, and I was teaching the children about a village in India, and we compared our town, Richmond, and we were comparing it with Chembakoli, which is an Adivasi village in Tamil Nadu. Mm-hmm. And we compared kind of how we went about getting our food, how we went about getting our water, what we did on our day-to-day lives. And so obviously the children are going to the supermarket, and we're actually in Chembakoli, they were having to walk 2 miles to the nearest river, filling up water, putting it on their head, and walking back to their village.
Yeah.
And I just think the children, they were only 7 and 8 years old, the children I was teaching, and they found it so difficult to kind of comprehend that this life actually existed in our world, because what they've seen so far from the movies, it's all very much similar to our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
And so we ended up out with a friend, and we were trying to work out how we could bring this topic to life.
Yeah.
And we kind of discussed, and we thought, well, they need to see someone they know, someone they kind of hopefully respect in the village, to see that this is actually happening now. This isn't 100 years ago. This is actually how it is now. And we were kind of thinking, well, who can we persuade? Which kind of pop star or some
so
famous?
Was that the short straw?
Well, we had some lists, and we kind of went through some names. No, and then there was just like one name at the end, and I kind of said, well, maybe I could do it. And the girl I was with said, well, go to a village in India where there's no running water, there's wildlife getting everywhere. And then she suddenly thought, she stopped and she's like, yeah, you'd be perfect. So that was how the trip to India was actually kind of came about.
Okay.
But
what bicycle did you have?
Well, before I talk about the bicycle, actually, I went back into my classroom and I told the children I was going to be leaving and I was going to be teaching at this school in India.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was still thinking, like you were saying, that I would be going by plane, obviously, because that's pretty much the only sensible way to get to India, I would think, from London.
Yeah.
And but one of the boys puts his hand up and he says, "How are you going to get there?" And like, obviously, I'm thinking I'm going to go by plane.
Yeah.
But then the one of the lessons we'd been teaching all year was green awareness and trying to get children to travel, come to school by scooter or by bicycle or walk for their own fitness and health, but also for the good of the planet. And there's a big sign up there with an aeroplane with a massive cross over it and an unhappy face. And I kind of looked at that and I thought, oh, God. And then you see the next one and it's the car, same, smaller cross, smaller unhappy face. And I kind of had this moment where I had to choose between unravelling the whole education I'd given them this year.
Wow, that must have been...
Or making some other sort of decision. And the next means of transport with a tick on was a bicycle. And I just stopped for a moment and everything kind of went silent as the kind of children were waiting, kind of wondering what's going on with Mr. Bent. And then I said, and I just kind of 4 words changed my life. I'm going by bicycle.
Wow. You know what's really nice hearing that is that sometimes we say things and we don't mean it. We think, oh, in the larger context of things. But what's really nice is that because I think as children especially, whatever an adult says, who they admire, they take that, literally. And I think you saw that and you said, I can't let them down.
Yeah. And it wouldn't just been that one piece of education. I think the whole... if you've taught them that and you're not doing that yourself, then they're kind of thinking, well, what about that maths lesson he taught me?
Absolutely.
Is that a load of rubbish as well?
Yeah. So actions speak louder.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So what went through your head then? You thought...
probably a moment of madness really went through my head. But, so I phoned up the school where I was going to be teaching and I kind of said I'm going to be quite late arriving. And obviously they couldn't quite comprehend it either.
Yeah.
For starters...
1 week, 1 month? No, probably 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. And then it all just... And I hadn't got very long to plan because to get through all the seasons that I was going to be going through, there was, I went through times when it was probably 45 degrees in the desert. And then when I was in the top of the Himalayas, it was... So
tell me, you started off from London and did you cycle to Dover? I mean, how does that work?
Because I did some cycling already.
Yeah.
And had a lot of friends who cycle, and my family are quite sporty. So we organised on my very first day that we were all going to cycle down to Dover together, about 90 miles.
Yeah.
So there's probably about 50 of us or something, friends, family, other teachers, a few pupils kind of got involved here and there.
Yeah.
And almost to kind of raise awareness of the trip and everything like that, we all kind of went down. We blocked a few roads, so I apologise for anyone that got caught up in that. But
you said it here first.
Yeah. And then from Dover, obviously I had to get a ferry over to said goodbye to all my friends and family. And then the adventure started from Calais, just me and my bicycle, which had been affectionately named Shirley. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, gosh, that must have been something else. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is basically, did you sort of think, where am I going to be staying? Did you have, stops, or be staying at some bed and breakfast somewhere along the way?
Not really. I was so disorganised because it was the end of the school year, so I was doing lots of after-school performances with my class and things like this. And so the night before I left, all my stuff would lay over the floor in my room. I hadn't packed anything. And I was leaving at 7 o'clock the next morning.
Gosh. The
kind of maps were still in their little packages for Europe, where I had an idea of where I was going to be going. And I had an idea of a route, but it wasn't... I had no idea where it was just going to be stop when you feel like stopping. And
I tell you, that does take bravery. I say that because 3 months ago, I was lost in France. Totally. I'm driving this big van, 16 seats of van, totally lost. I'm thinking, I'm in France. Albeit I was near the sort of the Alps part. But, there's a point where I'm thinking, oh, my God, what do I do? You just, because I don't have my phone, whatever. And so I'm just using my little bit of experience a couple of months ago in terms of where do I go? And I'm just trying to understand, as you're cycling, everything's slightly different. There's a language barrier as well. you know, where am I going to sleep for the night? And, you know, the safety aspect as well, you know.
I think definitely for safety, I'd switched my brain from, I mean, I'd always had kind of quite a lot of faith in humanity, and, but I just switched it from trusting everyone, and it kind of transpires that everywhere you go there's angels and then there's good people, and I didn't really meet any of the bad. Met a few bad people, but
wow, that's amazing. So, okay, in a sort of little highlight nutshells, give me little snippets of the adventure up to India at least.
So, I mean, going through Western Europe, it was kind of, there was the language barrier, there's a lot of roads, so that kind of was the difficulties, but kind of the real adventures started in the Ukraine, the ex-Soviet republics.
Okay.
So
you went through France, so I'm just getting the route itself for France, then...
France, Belgium, Germany, the Czech Republic.
Gotcha, like that.
And
okay,
then Poland, kind of straight across, really, with a few ups and downs along the way. But then just into Ukraine, and that wasn't long before I got stopped in the street with someone with a big subautomatic machine gun put against my head.
Why? How did that happen?
I don't really know why it kind of came about.
So you're just cycling along?
Well, this actually, I think I might have been walking my bike or something, because it's got a bit later at night.
Okay.
And I just got stopped, and you kind of, all you can see is this part, and you know what it is, because you've seen so many movies, even though it's probably the first gun I've ever seen in my life. And then the person was shouting at me in Russian, and I had kind of a small grasp of Russian from kind of past experiences, but I couldn't understand a word he was saying. He was shouting and getting more and more aggressive, and and then it kind of transpired, and then I kind of looked down. He kind of was gesturing down, and the guy actually had a shot of vodka in his hand, and it was. I think it was like a local drunk, just wanted me to have a shot of vodka with him, but he thought the best way to persuade me was by putting a subautomatic machine gun to my forehead.
That does tend to have a certain persuasive element
to it.
It does,
yeah. So, of course, I drank the vodka.
Yeah.
And, so that was the first kind of crazy experience. And they just got more and more from there on. I'm trying to think... for example, everywhere I went, I was chased by wild dogs, and... It's not like England where you have this kind of lovely puppy
I don't know
dog
why
thing.
that is funny, but it just cracks me up.
It was like Pied Piper. And then one lot of dogs would come, and they'd be barking, they'd wake up all the other dogs, and they'd all come, and then there'd be more, and I'm just pedalling as fast as I can, trying to get away from this kind of horde of dogs that were following me, kind of...
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you eventually get to India.
Yeah.
You know... And then, I'm just saying, I suppose the difference is that you've been through many different countries, because, the thing for me is, whenever I arrive in India, but obviously that's via airplane, you know, cycling, I'll put it on hold, but, you know, it's like, you know, when those airport doors open, you know, the heat hits you, you know, it's like, but I suppose by that time you would have acclimatized anyway, in a sense, so...
exactly, and... initially, obviously went to Pakistan before I came into India, and my tent froze up there on the Himalayas, on the inside and the outside, my sleeping bag froze solid. And fortunately, someone really kind of pulled something out of the bag and got me some Cotswold sponsored me to do the ride, and they gave me all my kind of super warm equipment, so I was snug as a bug inside my little sleeping bag, where everything else is frozen around me, and when I kind of disturbed it, I hit the side, and it kind of fell like one of those snowballs that you kind of shake like this, and the snow all comes around you. So, yeah, really amazing. But then obviously you get into, especially when I was arriving near the school, I think it was 45, 46 degrees, and you're cycling up the hills. And
so did it ever occur to you, do you know, what am I doing? Why don't I just grab a train or whatever? No one's going to know.
Yeah.
Did it ever occur to you?
Well, actually, kind of getting, actually in Russia, I'd fallen off my bike. I'd been cycling along, and there was... trucks going each way. It must have been one of those kind of highways where trucks are going, transporting stuff. And they were just going past me.
And I can imagine the force of the wind as they're going past,
And on the road, there's only enough room for 2 trucks to pass. And I'm just on this edge bit there, and there's a little drop about, I don't know, so many inches. And I actually, my wheel slipped off. and it made my bike tumble and me tumble, and I fell into the middle of the road. And for some, I don't know whether someone was looking down on me or something amazing, the trucks had stopped for a space of about 10 seconds, and all I could hear, I kind of stood up, bright lights towards me, hoot of the horn of the car, but I just had enough time to throw myself back off the road. And at that point, I just kind of thought, hold on, I've just survived death, just that tiny little bit. And then we went a little bit on, and there's some gypsies came out, and they tried to steal all the stuff off my bike. And I absolutely love children, and another group of children stopped me a little bit later on. They tried to sell me a dead cat. And I kind of thought, oh, this just isn't, I don't want to be robbed. I don't want, and I kind of think, is this what it's going to be like all the way on? And at that point, and I thought I'd risk my life, and I don't, this thing is great, but you don't want to die doing it, and there's just no point. And at that point, I thought, this isn't for me. I've crossed Europe. That's really a massive challenge on a bike.
Yeah.
But
this is it.
This is just too much.
Yeah.
So, and I logged onto the internet to try and book a flight, and also logged onto my email, and my email loaded first, and suddenly on my email, kind of all these messages came through from the children back home and from people that had kind of been hearing about my story, saying, Mr. Bent, we're kind of all right behind you and supporting you all the way, and messages from kind of loved ones and everything, and suddenly that was kind of gave me the strength to say, right, I'm not giving up right now.
Wow.
I'm going to go on, because, and actually the story, when I was a junior school teacher, the children used to say to me, because I was a little bit wacky, we used to have paint fights in the classroom, and we'd climb trees in maths, and we'd do animations in science.
I never had a teacher like this at school.
I don't think many people did.
Yeah.
I mean, the head teacher, I was on the kind of, I was walking a very fine line. Luckily, she quite supported it. But
no, it's nice, because I think what's really good is it does come across as if the children genuinely respected you. You know,
I was one of them, basically.
Yeah.
There was 31 children in my class, and I was one of them. And sometimes, if a child was being a little bit naughty, I'd just swap places. I'd sit there, and then they could take the lesson for a bit.
Really?
And that was enough of a lesson for them to realise, oh, right, so maybe it's not so great being up here, and I'll be a little bit more respectful next time, kind of thing like this.
Oh, that's amazing, actually. So, I mean, that's an adventure in itself. I think we really have to talk about. I mean, it's just because the time aspect, but you get to was it Tamil Nadu? So that's near the south.
It's right. It's one of the very southern states.
Yeah.
So I'd come in through the Wagga border. So luckily I was one of the last people. So
that's right at the north, isn't it? Because I've been there. Yes.
Yeah. So I was one of the last people to see the changing of the guards, kind of thing.
Yes.
Which was completely awesome. But I think they've stopped that now.
Have they really? Do you know? I've seen that myself. Wow. So they don't do that?
Yeah. No, it's been stopped. I don't know whether it's for safety or.
Oh wow. See, even I didn't know that. But yeah.
So I've got pictures of me with the soldiers doing the high kick
and
stuff like that. Yeah, it's really great. And then passed through. Obviously, from there went into. I come from Lahore,
that means you must have passed through Amritsar.
Through Amritsar,
so come. Something close to, I think, a lot of our viewers' hearts as well as myself.
Amritsar was is one of the most positive religious building experiences I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Because obviously, I guess everyone knows, but for me it was kind of new and special.
Of course, yes.
That the Sikh, everyone was being invited in. It wasn't just, they weren't just saying, oh, Westerners, bring those in. It was Westerners, the people off the street who didn't have a home, Muslims, Christians.
It's got four sides meaning to welcome everyone,
Everyone was welcomed in. Everyone was fed food. Everyone was said, do you want to lie down and sleep here tonight and then experience our beautiful waters again the next day?
Wow.
And it was really so great to see a religious building embracing everyone and not just those who are saying the correct things before they go to bed or in the morning when they wake.
Yeah.
It was, that for me was... I was really touched by it.
Wow. That's really nice to hear, because that is, as far as I'm concerned, the essence of Sikhism. It's to basically welcome everyone, just, come inside. It's got four sides, so entrances, people enter. It doesn't matter what faith you are, anything, just come and, you know, sit down, have food.
Caste, everything like that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's, you know,
out the window.
Yeah,
from my own experience.
At the end of the day, we're all humans, humanity, and that is the base. So it's nice to see that, you know, you felt that's what, you know.
Yeah, and I think, from what I gather from other people who were obviously travelling at the time, we were all feeling that same warmth of towards kind of human nature and supporting whoever needs it, really.
Wow, that's really good, actually.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, obviously, as well. Yeah, it's quite nice. Some nice photographs.
It's quite serene. I know. I love going there. Actually, it's just calms you down, because as you sort of, at least for me, you enter Amritsar, it's quite a lot of hustle bustle, and suddenly you enter into the Golden Temple area. It's like, whoa, this is nice. You know, it's like the serenity and, you know, the kirtans
little
playing.
Tranquility in this sea of craziness.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. So you're in Amritsar, and then. So there's still a bit of a journey to go then, really, isn't it?
I think travelling through India was 2/3 of my... It's just really? Amazing, the distances. You know what I mean? I know India's a bigger country than the UK, but you don't think of it as 2/3 of the journey to get to India, get to this place, was actually in India itself.
Wow.
And I was...
I guess one thing was, because a lot of people cycle in India, that must have been quite normal in one sense.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. They treated me so differently to other tourists, I think, because I was on the bicycle. It was like, hold on, a Westerner on a bicycle. It was just yin and yang, just splurged together, and it made it kind of hard for them to kind of approach you in some... They didn't really know whether to kind of give me a cup of tea or whether to ask me for, I don't know, whatever.
I'm assuming, I guess, well, not so much probably in the cities, but as you probably travelled more into the remote villages, I guess, you know, you must have got more attention.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, even in the cities, as soon as I stopped, I mean, it was actually, sometimes I'd stop, put the bike here, and I'd come over here, and everyone was interested in the bike. There'd be crowds of about 10 deep.
In the bike?
Looking at the bike. Look at me, look at my skin, look at my lovely blonde hair. Don't you want to look at me? Nah.
What can we get for this bike?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. No way on earth. I felt that I'm not actually, I'm so disorganised. I actually left my bag outside of my hotel once, with it open and with all my camera equipment visible. My wallet was in there. And I woke up the next morning, came outside, it's all still there still. It was so amazing.
Wow. I think someone's definitely looking at it. I mean, that is amazing in itself. I mean, you know...
Maybe, but I don't think so. I just felt so safe there. Yeah. And I'm sure there are people that aren't, you know, as in, you know, in London you don't want to do that.
Of course, yeah.
And, but I've got a funny feeling that those people are all hanging out at the bus stations and the train stations, waiting for the travellers to arrive.
Yeah.
And, I ended up not bothering looking at the bike, anything, just because I actually thought when I was setting off, because you see things like Slumdog Millionaire and things like this, and I thought, oh, well, if I get to India, that's pretty much the journey over, because every single removable piece of my bike will be taken off when I look over here to get a drink. I can look back and there's this skeleton of a bike sitting there. And
I mean, that is more, within Mumbai in itself.
Yeah, but even in Mumbai. Yeah. I mean, I actually was invited to live in the Ravi slum for just a few days, which was... someone was a little bit shy and kind of... What they wanted to, but they kind of thought, I can't ask a Westerner to come in. But it was so amazing. We had something really amazing to eat, and it was kind of quite cramped from where we were sleeping and everything, but it was all really, really clean, and people dress so immaculately in the slums and things. It's not...
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, actually, because, they go to school, they work. I mean, in terms of the slums themselves, it's like... We went to the one particular place over there. My wife's from Mumbai, so I was really interested in checking out the slums area, And it's amazing. You've got a lot of Mumbaites who've never actually been to the slums. If that makes sense,
yeah.
It's like they're there. So I said, let's go check it out. And even this particular property, and it sounds almost strange, okay, which was basically a mud hut almost.
Yeah.
And they said that was worth 30,000 in our money. I went, you're joking. I mean, the land there is so expensive, Yeah. I just heard recently that the most expensive houses in Mumbai. I mean,
Yeah, I heard the same just recently on a news story.
Yeah, I think the Jeremy Vine show. I think it was on the radio too. Was it was like, it's crazy. No, but I know what you mean.
But that house is next door to the slum.
Yeah, I know.
But what I was saying is that in there still was everything was completely safe.
Yeah,
they didn't feel threatened. I mean, even when that gun was up to my head, I was thinking positive thoughts of this is going to make a great blog, but in the slums, it's just people are so amazing all around the world.
They are friendly. I mean, I do give them that.
Happy.
Yes, they are genuinely happy. I think because there's that community spirit there. I saw that, and the food. I mean, there was something about that food. Okay, it just had so much flavour. Whatever that honestly. Having frozen food off that, I just could not do it. You know what I mean? It's
because it's been made with love, and so you can kind of taste that love when you eat it. Maybe
there is something there. Yeah, no, yeah. I know what you mean. Actually, yeah. So, no, so that's amazing. So that's going through Mumbai. It's amazing because I do hear a lot of people do get pickpocketed, not especially within Mumbai, but there is you come out the train station, and I've heard a lot of people there. So that's really nice to hear you didn't,
Yeah. No, I really felt very, very safe.
So you get to Tamil Nadu, yeah?
Yep.
And I guess by that time you must be mentally quite hardened anyway. It's like, okay, everything's, so it's not like, oh my gosh, where have I just landed into? Because, was it a reason you chose a remote village?
It was simply because on the English national curriculum, nearly all children between the age of 7 and 11 at one point in their education will learn about this place, Chembakoli.
Okay.
It's,
I mean, I don't know myself. That's why I'm asking more.
I guess it's more. Yeah, it's obviously a more recent thing. So they're learning about this village, and so I actually wanted to go and teach in that village to try and bring not just for the school I was working in, but for children all over the UK. People were kind of sending me, especially teachers, were sending me emails saying, "Will you answer these questions for our class?" and things like this. So it was really great to be able to kind of write back saying, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, they were made of mud, clay, and the bricks that are made from dung of animals and things like this. But the first night I kind of lay there and I had to sleep outside because the hut was full, and it was really great to sleep outside because it was so warm.
Yeah.
The guy, I slept in the chief's hut, and he woke me up at one point. He was like, "Can you hear it?" And you can hear this soft kind of mewing in the distance. He said, "There's a tiger." And I was like, "What? There's tigers?" And he said, "No, it's okay. It's a long way away." And then later on, the dog that he had at in the hut was going absolutely mad. Yeah. And it woke me up, and I kind of switched on my torch. And not much further away from where you are to me, there was a leopard. And it had come because the chief has a cow, one of the only cows that's in the village. And the leopard comes every night. And I kind of like to think because there's some kind of connection between the cow and the leopard, but perhaps it's...
Maybe it's being a bit peckish.
Yeah, being a bit peckish, yeah. But so the leopard was there, and as soon as I switched on the torch, it was gone. But still, it was, it was one kind of pour away from a Danny breakfast or something. So
what's amazing is that I think so many of us travel to India. But you're seeing a side of India I think that very few of us here have seen. That's, that's the amazing thing. I mean, and I think what I'm thinking to myself as well is, hey, good thing, as I say, I've got family in Mumbai as well. So not only do I go to North India, but I do travel semi-south, if that, you know what I mean? But I think, hey, next time I go there, I really should be checking out more of the places, more of the remote places, it's because then that brings out the whole experience, I think that's, because I think a lot of us, when, especially like from North India, then we just go to North India and back, I've been to India, I know India, but hey, you're just having a very small percentage of the whole experience, I think,
And obviously India's so massive, the variance between places is just so great. But and those kind of, like you say, the kind of going to the smaller places, I would arrive at a village and sometimes the children would burst into tears because they've never seen a white guy before, let alone one with a big ginger beard and riding a bicycle. And although, like I say, I really love kids, that was kind of really special to me that these kids were crying because of because of me being there.
Yeah.
Because I was the first white man they'd ever seen.
Really? Gosh, and it's amazing because, yeah, it's the reason I'm amazed is because obviously I'm thinking more the city side, but yeah, no, it really should be.
The rural areas, yeah.
Tell me, how did you communicate? Because, you know, when I go, I mean, even my Punjabi is not the greatest at the best of times anyway. I think everyone can vouch for that over here on this channel. But, you know, but it's not, I mean, the main language there is Hindi.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming in the village as well, they don't necessarily speak Hindi, do they? They speak,
definitely not down south.
No, they actually...
Tamil, if it's anything, and it's normally
and it's very, very fast as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how did you... I mean, did they speak English over there?
It was amazing from... Even coming into the top of Pakistan, nearly everyone was speaking English, or wanted to speak English. And even if you stopped in these rural areas, there'd be one person who would be kind of summoned because they could speak English.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I really would not want you to test me, but I tried to learn some Hindi just to be polite, really.
That means I have to say anything to you because my Hindi's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so mine's probably as good. I can probably test you. Yeah.
You could have said that, then I would have got worried.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
So you never assume. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
that's brilliant. So how long were you there for?
I taught at the school for only about a month. It was quite hard for me after having such freedom for 6 months. All I did was... I obviously was kind of interacting with people, but it was still all on my own terms. If I wanted to leave somewhere, I left. And they'd kind of, not meaning to be strict to me, but they say, see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It's like, 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
If I want to arrive at 7 or I want to arrive at 11, that was kind of how I wanted it to work. But
it's funny because sometimes, I mean, I guess school is school, and, 9 o'clock means 9 o'clock. Because sometimes, when I've been in India sometimes, actually, even if I'm in Europe, sometimes 7 o'clock could be 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock could be, but I suppose school is school, and I guess 9 o'clock was...
The thing is, the children love school, I think.
Yeah.
There was a massive difference between what you see in the UK, or at least especially about how it's portrayed, and how it was in India, because the children in India were thinking, we're really lucky to be getting an education, and to be honest, a lot of it was child-led. So in the morning, there was singing and dancing every single morning. And the older children, who were maybe 13, I think, were the oldest in the school, they would lead the singing and the dancing. There would be a few teachers who'd pop in and out just to make sure it was all going smoothly. But there was so much respect within the school that there was no need to have the laying down the law,
really,
raising your voice or anything like that. And it almost felt like how I was teaching back in England. It was some similarities in that if you really respect them and they respect you, you can just say, please don't, or you've kind of let me down a little bit by doing this, and that's all you need to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think if you look at this Sangat Ji, okay, I mean, you've written this amazing book, okay, I think, the short time we have doesn't do justice that, what Danny's done. So there's a book here. If you could see that, you've gone too far this time, sir.
Yeah, it's what the kids used to say at me at school.
Really?
Just before the head bustled in and what's all the smoke about? It's okay, it's all under control.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, A Cycle Ride to the Heart of India. And where could viewers get this book?
You can get it in Waterstones. I mean, it's on my website, so www.dannybent.com.
Okay.
But it's also available Amazon, everything like this. So,
brilliant. Yeah. Okay, we will put all these details on the itconscious.com website. And I'd highly recommend this book. I've just got this book and I'm going to be reading it. Okay, but just before the show, okay, I'll be honest with you, just before the show. I mean, I couldn't put this down. Honestly, I was just reading. I thought, no, I'm putting this over here, okay, because it's just compulsive, okay, reading. So we'll put all the details on our website, okay. Perfect. But you're doing something else now. Now, today's World AIDS Day.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, and you're doing something as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, with the book, it sold 92,000 copies, and then people started contacting me to say, well, you've completely inspired me, and what and I've kind of, or they might say, I've looked my bike back out the shed, I haven't seen it in 2 years, or I've kind of scrubbed my trainers off, I'm going to start using them again.
Yeah.
And they were saying, what can I do to kind of, they didn't want to do something so crazy, because there were some moments of kind of defying death in the book and everything like this, so it's not...
so we've had the edited version so far.
The edited version, yeah.
The abridged version.
Yeah. And so they were kind of saying, what can we do that's kind of not the same as... And I just thought, oh, no, we've got this whole kind of mass of people who are wanting to do something to help our world kind of be a better place, really. Yeah. And I thought, why don't we just kind of harness all this energy and put it all together into one spot? And rather than one person over here doing this little thing for this and this little person doing... we'd like get a big kind of a tribe of us, and we all put all our energy into one direction and really see what we can do.
Laser light.
Exactly, yeah. So, and I got a maths degree, that's why I studied at university, and this just kind of felt like the first time I'd really used my maths degree, because I kind of thought, if we can get 1,000 of these people, I'm calling them warriors, to do something, whether it's just stepping just slightly outside of your comfort zone and taking up running with the idea of doing your first running race, or whether you're going to throw yourself out of a plane and or shave your hair off, or have a party.
Or grow your hair.
Or grow, yes, grow it as long as you can, yeah. Sorry.
No, I just thought it's funny because we think one way, hey, let's do the other.
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
Yeah.
Just whatever kind of tickles your fancy.
Well, I'm saying that because when I was 14 years old,
yeah,
I decided, do you know what, I'm going to grow my hair.
And that was that.
And I've been doing that ever since.
Man, so if people get sponsoring you for that, that'd be amazing. So,
sponsor me now.
Yeah. But so I was trying to get people to either kind of just step out of their comfort zone and do something along those lines, or I've been saying, what is the idea that, like, what's this burning? Because we haven't actually talked about this. Was that when I was 11 years old and I was at junior school and I was leaving, and the head mistress got us all up in a line, said, "What do you want to do with your lives?" And people said politician, footballer, dentist. Went through, and I was kind of I had this kind of hair that wouldn't sit down, and these kind of fairly big ears, and this massive smile at all times. And she said, "What do you want to do, Danny?" And I said, "I want to cycle around the world and raise money for charity."
Wow.
So 20 years on,
wow,
I arrived at the village on my 31st birthday. So 20 years since I'd kind of had spoken about this dream. And I didn't actually remember it. It was my mum kind of told me when I said I was doing this. She was like, "Well, we've been preparing for 20 years for this, Dan, so go ahead with it." So what I'm trying to say is that I was trying to think, maybe you've got a dream that you've had since childhood, that you've kind of hidden away in a little box. Just try and let it out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be cycling and things like this. They're just things that appeal to me. They're kind of my passions. But whatever your passion is, whether it's to go out and start using your artistic skills and painting landscapes or something.
I mean, what's nice is that seed was planted.
Yeah.
20 years back.
And it slowly grew.
And it grew. And I do feel that we all have that seed, you know.
Absolutely. Everyone has a dream as a kid.
Exactly. And the thing is, we all have that kid inside us.
Yeah.
You know, to do something. And, you know, are we living our dream?
Yeah.
You know.
And then when you're doing this, whether you're stepping across your comfort zone or whether you're living your dream, the kind of idea is that you try and find 100 people that can sponsor you £10 for doing so. You know, with multimedia and social media and all that sort of stuff, most people have a kind of 100 friends dotted around here and there. And if we can get 1,000 warriors to each find 100 friends to give £10 for our one cause, then that's going to raise £1 million.
Wow.
And it's so fitting that today I'm talking to you on World AIDS Day, because the charity I chose is an amazing charity called Keep a Child Alive. And they're dealing, it's all to do with children suffering or affected by HIV and AIDS.
Okay.
And it's amazing that, I think it's kind of 3 or 4 days ago, the new retrovirus for AIDS has been found that now you're 98% sure of not passing AIDS on. So it's almost like now, if you can get people with AIDS on the retrovirus drugs, AIDS is going to become something of the past. Like, it's not going to be something that bothers. Like, at the moment, it's one of the biggest.
Yeah, I know.
It's like basically going to destroy our planet if it keeps going. But now with this, we can actually stop AIDS.
That is, you know, that's the first I'm hearing of this. That's amazing.
So if you have a little kind of Google on the internet, it's kind of flashing up everywhere now. And just something that's, you know, it's killing pop stars and it's killing the famous and it's killing the but then it's killing the poor people as well. And,
exactly.
And you can now, there's the greatest thing about the retrovirus is no worse than having something like diabetes. It can be controlled with the drugs, and people can live a completely normal lifestyle. So you can continue, and you can look after your kids, and you can make sure they're having a great life. And if the kids have got the virus as well, which is even worse, they can be looked after. And
that is amazing, actually. You mentioned something, Danny, just before we came on air, that you're looking to go to, was it Bolivia?
Well, it's actually, going to Brazil.
Brazil, okay.
Yeah, it's a festival, it's called Earth Day Brazil.
All right.
And it's a festival of peace, but it's also like kind of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
People coming together and
what's nice is that you're not going off on tangents. Your thing seems to have a clear line. You know, you cycled to India, but it was to help World AIDS Day with the book. Yeah. You're going there. There is a definite sort of linkage in all of them.
I just love people. And I've got such faith in the human... You know, we hear about all these bad people around, but we never really celebrate how amazing 99% of the people on our planet are, more than 99%.
I totally agree. That is actually... It's interesting you say that. That is why on this show, I just try and promote the positive side, because every day we're bombarded all the time. Oh, so-and-so done this, an old lady got mugged, and yes, these things do happen. But the other side is you don't hear about the teenager who helped the old lady across the road, or the individual, you know, who's helping people, because it's not so-called newsworthy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I do believe 99% of the people are doing something good for their fellow human being.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, you know, whatever it is, at least on this show, that's what we're going to celebrate, you know, and it's really nice to be hearing that. So, yeah, sorry, I interrupted you, but you were saying.
So I'm actually going to open this festival with me and a friend, David Cornthwaite, who's a kind of real seasoned pro adventurer.
Yeah.
We've been given these folding bikes by a company called Cansi, and we're going to try and cycle from Machu Picchu,
which is
in Peru.
Peru,
so
okay. See my geography.
Yeah. It's like, just think at
I knew that. Yeah.
You were just testing me.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's about 4,500 meters high, and we're going to come down and we're going to cross the Andes, go through Bolivia, and we're going to come into Brazil, and we're going to. It's the kind of epicenter of South America. It's, you know, the very, very center of South America where the festival is taking part.
Okay.
And we're going to arrive on our folding bikes and. We're going to somehow open the festival, not quite sure yet. And then there's going to be a spiral of peace with 7,000 people holding hands.
Wow.
And it's just
everyone getting together.
Yeah.
You know?
It's going to be music.
Okay.
And there's going to be lots of kind of, good lectures. And but also just that festival vibe of all being together with one appreciation in mind.
That is amazing. I mean, as I say, over here, we call it Sangat.
Yeah.
Sangat meaning, you know, people in a holy congregation almost, you know, in a sense, that, you know, and you're basically, it's all on positivity.
And it shares that same view that we kind of started the whole talk about with the Amaritza. It's just like that. It doesn't matter who you are. Exactly. It doesn't matter if you're a banker from HSBC or whoever it is, or whether you're a Brazilian street child. We're all going to come together. Everyone's going to partner. Everyone's going to learn. The banker's going to be speaking to the child and learning from him, and he's going to speak to the banker and learn from him. And it's just going to be some kind of nice ball of energy that hopefully is going to spread worldwide.
As I say, I think if everyone's doing something in their own way, that's what brings the movement of positivity. Yeah. You know, I truly feel that, you know, if Danny's the sort of teacher that schools are having, okay, then, you know, I think, you know, we're really on a roller coaster ride now, you know, upwards in a fantastic way. No, it's really nice to hear, actually. The charity that you mentioned, which charity is that?
It's Keep a Child Alive.
Okay, so have they got a website at all?
Yeah, well, the website I'm actually using, and it links through to those guys, is www.111, 4 ones, all written ONE. Okay. Because it's 1,110 for the raising money.org.
Okay.
Again,
what we're going to do, everything will be on the It Conscious Living website, okay? So it's itconscious.com. Go onto there. Also check on the Facebook. I will be updating everything. Again, as I say, this book as well, you've gone too far this time, sir. You know, so you know, as I say, you've got to go out, just go out and buy it, because if anything else, okay, it's that inspiration. And where's Daddy heading to? You know, you've all within your heart, he's going off to India, and I know all of you, okay, who are watching that, yes, you have that love for India. So how did you get to India? Danny's been to India that I believe, I think I could easily say 99.99% of you, okay, there'll always be someone say, oh, yeah, I went by bus.
Yeah.
But you can never say 100.
Yeah.
99.99% of you, okay, have never travelled to India the way Danny's been, you know. So that's amazing to hear. Next 10 years, Danny, I know I'm just putting this question out.
Next 10 years, I want to do some more, you know, I want to kind of keep doing some adventuring, but I want to try and get into a position where I can kind of start really making some big movements.
Okay.
And getting that kind of following where you can, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, if we raise $1 million for the charity, hopefully we can see some massive improvements in our world from there, and just see where it goes from there.
No, that's fantastic. Any last inspirational words you'd like to give to our viewers? Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, one thing I wanted to say was that the charity are actually, they're not, obviously I'm doing this just from the love of people, and
Yes.
I'm not taking any of the money raised. But also the charity have said they're going to give 100% of the money raised to the people who are, there's a focus in Africa, there's a small focus in South America now, it's just starting up. But, and also, a massive amount of the money is going to India as well. So that's all tight. I mean, going to India, I think it happens to everyone who goes there. I mean, maybe there's some people that just can't handle it. But if you can handle it, you fall in love.
You do, yeah.
It's going to be there inside me, burning like a flame for the rest of my life.
It's funny because it's one of those places that, you know, I remember I went to it initially as a child, and, you know, and you just remember that there's too much going on, but then slowly it just grows on you and you just start loving it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, you know, you go there and you think, oh my God, you know, because there's too much of a shock initially for the system.
Sensory overload.
Yeah, it is. The heat hits you. Then you know, you're tripping over people. Then
the smells.
Yeah, the smells, the sounds, the horns. Okay, and then people walk and you know, cows walking one way. Where did that cow come from? You know, you know, and you're trying to cross the road, sort of thing. But then after you get over that, you know, and then slowly it's like, you know, you start to love it. So yeah, I can.
Yeah, and I found that when if people weren't coming and gathering around me, I kind of felt a bit lonely.
Yeah.
I wanted that 100 people to be watching me eat my dinner, kind of.
Did it change your life when you came back home?
My life's just. I had an argument with my dad actually because I phoned up just to say I was all right when I was in India, and Dad said this trip is going to change your life, and I said it's not going to change my life. I'm exactly the same guy I always was, but I think it's just kind of opened my eyes to a lot, so many things. In all of our education, a lot of our education anyway, it's obviously coming from textbooks and from the TV, and like you say, the media like to portray this kind of edgier side of things, and just to know that no matter where you go, we're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, and to know that money isn't what enjoyment's about. You go to the slums in India where people haven't got much money. They're playing cricket with
a day or something.
With just a piece of wood and a screwed up bit of newspaper or whatever.
But the smiles.
The smiles on those faces. And then I came back, and it actually took me probably a year to get over the experience.
Wow.
Because I was just I'd go into London, and I'd take my bike because I was meeting journalists or whatever, just because the bike was much more interesting than I was. And they would, and people would be getting so annoyed at me having the audacity to be wheeling a bike through the street because I was going to delay them by 0.1 of a second to that important meeting where they were hoping to get their next million from. And I kind of thought, hold on, these people have got nothing, really massive smiles. These people have got everything. They've got kind of in the backpack, they've got 3 iPads and a few iPhones and a BlackBerry and everything like this.
Yeah.
And that's not making them happy in any sense of the word.
Yeah.
So, and it was really very conflicting in my brain. And obviously, I like to play on things and, you know, have some comforts now and again. But it's just not everything.
No,
You've got to have a little balance.
You're
of
absolutely
both.
right. It's having that balance. I think it's interesting. Like even our first guru, he travelled Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He travelled all over the place, and I think, you know, I try and travel. Well, I did a lot. I haven't travelled so much recently, but you know, we had a baby. But after that, we wanted to get her travelling. She's already been to, you know, throughout France and everything. You know, and it's her first words. I mean, she said, well, I was just telling, it was really funny, because we were with so many different people, people from Germany, from France. I went, Isha, she went, we. I went, oh, no. Her first word was we, and yes, I thought this is just crazy. But what was really nice is you learn so much when you travel. I mean, my mind really opened. I really traveled when I was at university.
Yeah.
Every time we get a half-term break, we'll get a group of friends around. Okay, where are we going? You know, we go to Tunisia, Spain, Europe. You know, let's just get out there. You know, and it mentally changed me for the positive. Does that make sense? Because I learned not only about people, but more importantly, interesting, I learned about myself.
Yeah, that's,
you know,
massive for travel.
So yeah, so I totally agree. Well, we're being told, you know, I could really talk to you, Danny, honestly, for another 2 hours, but time has really caught up with us. You know, it's gone really quickly. You know, so yeah. Any last words you'd like to say? You know, anything? You know.
Well, it's been a pleasure being here anyway and chatting to you, and I think maybe we're going to continue until 12 o'clock or something. Have a chai and masala chai
the coffee's out there. Somebody gets us some more sir. That'd be lovely. Yeah, okay.
Few doses.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be carrying on this talk, but Sangaji, you've gone too far this time, sir. It's available on Amazon. Okay, you can go to Waterstones. I will be putting this on the itconscious.com website. But it's a fascinating read. I've looked, if you know, just by hearing what Danny's been saying, if that's interesting, please get in touch. You know, find out. But thank you so much for watching. You know, as always, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.